All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to No Final Bell. Um, I will say thank you for all the people that have watched last episode. It's done really well, so I appreciate all the support. Um, of course, we would like to be able to see if we can get a lot of those viewers being able to subscribe to the channel as well, but or at least hit the bell notification to be alerted for more content in the future. But before as always, we are going to start off with a little difference. We're
Yeah,
not going to
so
be actually
I
going
will
about.
actually. So let me take over. Normally, I would have like Impact or like NWA or something like that to talk about this, like for my part of the show. But this time we actually have something different as Pro Wrestling Noah, a Japanese-based wrestling promotion, was broadcasting on Fight TV the final match of the Great Muta. So I'm here to talk about that entire event, start to finish. So first we have Kongo, the team of Hajime Ohara and Hiroki, beating Atsushi Kotoge and Saiki Yoshioka. I do apologize in advance if I butcher these names. I'm not familiar with a lot of these people, and I am not an avid like fan of Pro Wrestling Noah, so um, bear with me. So then we go down to Jungle Kiona and Sauriano beating the Nomads, the team of Sumire Natsu and Maya Yukihi. Then we get it was nice to see him, by the way, because I was wondering like what he's been doing. Timothy Thatcher beats Masaaki Mochizuki. We had a six-man match that ended in a disqualification between Junta Miyazaki, Alejandro, and Yasutaka Yano against the team of Yoshinari Ozawa, Eita, and Nosawa Rongai. The match ended in disqualification after the ref was attacked, but the assault was not done after the bell with strips of hair being cut off. We had another six-man tag team match consisting of the good-looking guys, the team of Jake Lee, Jack Morris, and Anthony Green. You may recognize him from NXT Black and Gold days as August Gray. He used to team with Kurt Stallion back in the day. But they beat the team of Masa Kitamiya, Daiki Inaba, and Yoshiki Inamura. Then we have a GHC martial arts rules match between Kazushi Sakuraba and Hideki Suzuki. The match ended via referee stoppage due to a triangle choke, which, when I was watching that match, and I'm pretty sure you were watching along with me, that match was very, like, it reminded me a lot of, like, potentially like a UFC, like, mixed martial arts. I mean, to be fair, the match itself said GHC martial arts rules, so essentially it was like a mixed martial arts ish match. But either way, like that was it was a very intense match. We have another. There were a lot of six-man tag team matches on this card. So, but the next match, you're definitely, and if you don't know who this man is, you need to watch more wrestling. But I'm gonna get to him. But the first person was Amakusa. I believe I pronounced that right. It might be Amakusa. But if you, like I said, if you don't know this man, you need to watch more wrestling. Ultimo Dragon with Sonny Ono and Ninja Mac beat the team of Yohei, KZ, and Dante Leon. Then we had this time an eight-man tag team match consisting of Kaito Kiyomiya, El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr., Takashi Sugiura, and Satoshi Kojima, which I am familiar with him. He did come into Impact Wrestling at one point on behalf of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Not to mention, he had a match in AEW. I believe it was against Eddie Kingston. But either way, they beat Congo. So earlier in the show, we had two members of Congo. Now, this time, we have the remaining members of Congo, which are Keno, the founder, Katsuhiko Nakajima, Masakatsu Funaki, and Manabu Soya. And then, the main event of the show, his final match, teaming with Sting and Darby Allin, the Great Muta, taking on Naomichi Marufuji, Hakushi, and Akira. Now, Hakushi, if you're like uh, if you've been a fan of like wrestling and WWE since like the 90s, you should remember, or maybe you would remember Hakushi from his limited time in WWF during the 90s. I want to say actually it was before the Attitude Era, and it was around the time of like the New Generation era, so like kind of like mid 90s ish. But either way, um, Great Muta actually won his final match. At least, like, so it was a six-man tag with Sting and Darby. He won, and that's it for Muta. But his alter ego, Keiji Muto, will be in action in February. It's part of a joint pay-per-view with New Japan Pro Wrestling. He will be taking on Tetsuya Naito. And, like, honestly, I would love to be able to see that, but I see that, like, pay-per-view, but I haven't seen anything for it on Fight TV. If it is available on Fight TV, I'm definitely going to buy it. I'm definitely going to cover it here, but at least for now, I haven't seen anything for Keiji Muto's, like, final match. Because I was looking at it, and I'm like, honestly, like, you got to do something for Muta, and then obviously you're gonna have to do something for Keiji Muto as well, because like, the man behind Great Muta, like, he's getting up there in age, and even more so, like, Keiji Muto himself, like, yeah, like gotta he himself has to give it up too. So,
Right.
but that's it for Muta, Great Muta's final bye bye. So now we
Yes.
get on to, and but before we get into that, like, can we just talk about the amazing year thus far that Darby Allin has had?
Yeah.
I
He
mean, you go from winning the TNT title in your hometown
in
against Samoa
Seattle.
Joe
Yep.
to defending it against Mike Bennett, Juice Robinson,
Kushida,
Kushida.
and
Yes.
now, of
And
course, later
now,
tonight he's
later
gonna.
tonight, he's going to take on Buddy Mack
Yeah,
of the House of
I
Black.
think that's insane.
On top of going to Japan with
A little
Sting and the Great
spoiler alert.
Muta.
Of course, we'll shed a little bit more light on it later in the show, but um, he actually stated that he was going to defend it every single week in the Open Challenge, kind of like what Cody did back in his three um, times of being the TNT champion. Um,
As, as he should,
yeah,
honestly,
to my
because,
knowledge, Darby Allin and, well, was it Sammy Guevara,
yep.
um, Scorpio Sky, Darby Allin, and Cody Rhodes are, to my knowledge,
Are
are
all
only four
multi-time, yes.
multi-time TNT champions. So,
Or at least, the former or current TNT champions to have more than one reign.
yeah. So, I'm looking forward to seeing, Darby Allin defend the title. I figured, House of Black somebody from the House of Black would have been next, because the only one he has not beaten or faced off against is Buddy Matthews. So
Well, what
um,
about Malachi?
I think he's faced off against Malachi before.
Oh, either way.
All right, but of course, before we even get to there, well, we have ourselves a All Atlantic Championship match. Well, Jay Lethal does get a title shot. It's just not for the title I would have thought it would have been for. Orange
When is he
Cassidy
gonna
and
get that,
Jay
by the way?
Lethal, I have no idea. I think he's going to be one of the next ones to face off against Darby Allin for it. It would make the most sense. But Orange Cassidy and Jay Lethal face off for the All Atlantic Championship. I'll tell you what, Jay Lethal definitely showed signs of maybe he could actually beat Orange Cassidy and win the All Atlantic Championship. These two men put on a banger of a match to start off the night. Orange Cassidy is just a hell of a freaking champion, hell of a talent.
Yeah.
Like, putting a title on him was probably the best move for Tony Khan to do, because ever since he's been the All Atlantic champion, he has been a force of nature with that title, beating every opponent, looking great, just being one of the best tag teams. Of course, hopefully, maybe after he loses the title, that they can get an opportunity to win the World Trios tag team titles. That would be cool. But ultimately, Orange Cassidy does beat Jay Lethal to retain the All Atlantic Championship. And after the match, Jeff Jarrett, Sanjay Dutt, and Saturn saying try to beat down Orange Cassidy and the best friends with no prevail, as Sanjay Dutt is trying to hold back Jeff Jarrett. And then they get under Sanjay Dutt's
Well,
skin, and then he gets pulled out of the ring with
let's
them.
not fail to mention that. I mean, it might not be the only reason, but like I'd like to believe that the only reason that Jay Lethal even lost in the first place was because Danhausen cursed him.
Yeah, I mean, Danhausen had a guitar because Jeff Jarrett was trying to throw it in for um,
For Jay Lethal
Jay
to
Lethal to
use.
use, but Danhausen took it, was cursed Jay Lethal, started strumming the guitar, and then got chased around with it. And then, of course, soon afterwards, um, Orange Cassidy, I think, pulled him, rolled him up for the one, two,
Yeah.
three, and retained the title after the Orange Punch. So, congratulations, Orange Cassidy, on retaining your All Atlantic Championship. But so we don't even go into a segment. We go right indirectly to the next match, which usually you don't get a lot of that sometimes on Dynamite as of late. But Top Flight face off against the Young Bucks for the first time ever.
No,
It's
wasn't the
not
first time.
okay. Um,
Because no, it's not the first time. Because remember, Top Flight faced the Young Bucks to get signed.
oh, that's right. Um,
But at least it
well,
was.
Young Bucks and Top Flight, two of the better tag teams in AEW. Very hot, high flyers, high action, high spots there. Back and forth contest. Darius and Dante are, when they're together, they're one of the great tag teams of AEW. Definitely deserving to be future tag team champions. I think that's definitely going to be the route that they go. Hopefully, Darius stays healthy long enough for that to actually happen
Well, I
in
mean,
AEW. But
both of them, for that matter. But yes, mostly Darius, because he's always been the one to get himself. You know. So, granted, this last one was non-wrestling related. But
right, but ultimately, the Young Bucks put over Top Flight as they get the win here on Dynamite. I tell you, if it wasn't the Guns, having the whole program with the Acclaimed, I would say Top Flight would have to be your next challengers for the tag team titles. And they might very
yeah,
well be after um, the Guns are done with their program with the Acclaimed. Speaking of which, the Guns come out with our first segment of the night, and claim they are the best tag team in the world. Yeah, right. Sorry, that's not the crowd. Then the crowd chants "Ass Boys," which is very fitting for them. Uh, say the Acclaimed embarrassed them and made them popular, and then have embarrassed them with pulling down their pants, as you saw on Rampage. They got their asses, they got their pants pulled down.
They got
pantsed,
and
and
then
asses went into the concrete there. But claim that they were the reasons why the Acclaim became popular in the first place. And then say, well, the only reason why you're big is because you stole our dad. Which, I mean, not
to which
wrong.
Taz actually said that's true.
Yeah, I mean, they did steal daddy ass. And then out come the Acclaim, but they get their song cut short. And then afterwards, they freestyle.
Max Caster said to cut Austin Gunn's mic, which they did, to which then Max Caster starts freestyling and, like, doing his usual shtick.
And then
So,
beat each other down to the point where Billy Gunn, daddy ass, had to stand in the way of both tag teams. Threw off Austin Gunn and then threw off
Max Caster.
yeah. But then he wants Billy. He was like, I want to see more out of you, my sons. But you guys gonna need to start act. If you're
But you
world
guys are
champions,
tag team champions. You gotta act like
you gotta
it.
start acting like tag team champions. We're gonna have family therapy later tonight. Thoughts on that one? It's safe to say that it's coming
Something tells
for
me,
Daddy Ass
he's gonna be back with his boys.
to turn on the Acclaimed and help them win the tag team titles against the Acclaimed. I can see it. I mean, I love the run that the Acclaimed have been on, but also Billy Gunn knows about being, a tag team guy as much as he's, also been a singles competitor. He's better as being a tag team
He's
guy.
more known as a tag team guy, yeah.
So,
not to mention he's won like pretty much all of his championships that he's ever had have been tag team titles. Pretty sure he's even won tag team titles with Chuck.
I'm pretty sure you're right. So, if there's anybody that can help, his boys to the promised, land, it would be, or help mentor his boys, it would be him. It would be Daddy Ass himself. But he ain't gonna be Daddy Ass for very much longer. He's gonna be just back to being Billy Gunn, and the Guns are gonna
I
be,
don't know how I
the
feel
Gun
about
Club
that,
are gonna
honestly,
be
though.
back.
I don't know how I feel about that, honestly, though, because not for nothing, Daddy Ass was like his most over character.
I
And
know,
then,
but
like, AEW basically it might potentially kill it. Like, I don't know. Like, don't kill what isn't getting over. You know what I mean? That's just how I look at it. Don't kill what's already getting over. Don't pull a Vince McMahon.
yeah,
Don't
but
pull a Vince McMahon with Rusev Day. It was getting over, and he's like, nope. Like, that was a stupid idea. It was a stupid idea from bad creative.
but yeah, ultimately it's gonna be turning into family therapy. It's gonna be interesting to see. Um, I don't have it here, but this is where I'm gonna kind of add it. This was actually a match that was added kind of super late into the show. So Warner Bros. And Warner Media, Warner Media,
Yeah.
um, unfortunately wasn't originally going to allow
Even
a tribute show to Jay
yeah.
Briscoe because of everything that's happened with the past.
Even more
But
so,
looks like the tides have turned, and it's kind of sad. And it'd be after one of the Briscoe brothers
after
passed
Jay had
away.
passed, yeah.
Always seems to happen
But
like that. But they're going to allow Mark Briscoe,
yeah.
one half of them boys, one half of the ROH
Yep.
World Tag Team Champions, to compete tonight against
Jay Lethal.
Jay Lethal. Both of these men have requested this. They're both former rivals. Um, both know each other from ROH days,
Mm-hmm.
so what better way to solidify, to remember the life of Jay Lethal or
Yeah.
Jay Briscoe on his 39th birthday, by the way. So
Mm-hmm.
happy birthday and to you, Jay. Um, and hopefully you can be watching down and your spirit will be there for this match against
Yeah.
Jay Lethal. I would assume that Mark Briscoe is going to come out with both ROH World Tag Team titles and also Jay Briscoe's boots, but we'll happen to see. We don't know exactly what's going to be happening with this match. I think it's going to be a great match. Um, I think you're
Yeah.
going to get the 10 bell salute. You kind of have to. I mean, even though they really didn't, but I think they're going to.
I think, yeah, I think they're
Um,
gonna do it now that they pretty
yeah.
much have the
So
like clear to do it.
I think you're going to get the 10
So
bell salute, have all the wrestlers out there, and then I think the whole match is going to be kind of like dedicated to Jay Briscoe, kind of like, when Brody Lee passed on, that whole night was dedicated to Brody Lee.
yeah,
So I think this is what you're going to get with this. So you're going to get, I think you're going to, too bad it can't be
I
like
mean,
a whole ROH and
yeah.
versus
The thing about it
AEW
though
type
is
of thing.
the
Or,
thing about it though is like the show must go on, and they're still gonna go ahead with their planned like stuff. But I think like for that moment and that match, like
it's
yeah,
probably
you're
going to be
gonna have
one of the first matches of the night. But we'll see.
now. Now, see, you gotta have it as the main event.
That could
That's
happen
just my
too.
opinion. You gotta have it as the main event. Like
That could
that's.
happen too.
But
You
also, we don't have this like written down, but Tony Khan was on Busted Open, I believe this morning, and he gave us more details about um, the Ring of Honor tribute show that they taped after Dynamite on the 18th last week, or yeah, yeah, last week. So or at least the week before, but we have more details that are going to come out following Dynamite. It's going to be on YouTube and Honor Club. Honor Club is going to be for free, not behind the paywall, which is a nice gesture by Tony Khan. He didn't have to do that. He could have just had it of like, oh, if you have Honor Club, if you're already subscribed to Honor Club, then you get it. And then those that don't have Honor Club, you can watch it on YouTube. But regardless, it's going to be 3 hours. It's going to be a 3 hour tribute with Jay's like greatest memories, stories from Jay's peers, as well as all of the taped matches from that show. So it's going to be nice to see, and hopefully, like I said, we get more. Hopefully, we get more about the tribute show because when it comes out, expect it to be covered on this show.
all right. Well, uh, Adam Hangman Page was getting interviewed by
Renee Paquette.
Renee Paquette, and it just during the whole thing, it doesn't seem like he's done with John Moxley. Thoughts on that one? I think it's going to lead into another outcome with them facing off at Revolution. Um, I hope this is going to be like one of those, I don't know, like a kind of a match stipulation. I think it's going to be one of those kind of matches between these two men. Um, Steel Cage or um, Falls Count Anywhere, something like that. I mean, something where it's um, who
Either way,
knows.
it will certainly be interesting.
Yeah, like I said, I really do think that these two men are going to face off against each other again. Um, but Adam Hangman Page, I don't think you're going to get like decide where you beat Moxley this time at Revolution. I think you're gonna lose at Revolution, but we'll see. So we get on to our next match. Ricky Starks and Jake Hager face off against each other. Jake Hager really likes that hat, by the way. I don't
Yeah,
think you
don't
can
touch
tell
his
him.
hat.
I don't think you can tell him any differently, especially since he has it written on the hat itself. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen that. Like he actually has it written on the hat saying, "I like this hat." And
Not to mention his match graphic, and introduced him as Jake Hager with his hat.
the
So
hat is over,
the hat
man.
is over.
But ultimately, Jake Hager doesn't
But
get.
but the real question is, did that hat sign its own AEW contract?
Hey, man.
Well,
It
actually,
might.
no. It never mind. We have actually the official. We did get the official graphic for Jake Hager's hat from the AEW Twitter. So his hat is officially signed. I don't know how you can get a pen. I don't know how a hat can like sign its own deal, but hey, I'm not gonna try and bring logic into it.
I mean, honestly, Ricky Starks and Jake Hager had a pretty good outcome. They had a pretty good match. Um, highly contested. Ricky Starks, brought it. Jake Hager brought it. But ultimately, in the end, Ricky Starks beats Jake Hager as it should. But I don't think this is the end of it, as you're going to get see Ricky Starks team up
With
with Action Andretti to face off against Daniel Garcia, or actually, no, Sammy Guevara and Chris Jericho, of course. You
the
know,
sex gods.
yeah,
If, if however, if Garcia were to, um, no, I was gonna say I'll shut up because it's spoiler alert for Rampage.
so Adam Cole says he will run AEW and run shot through
Run
everyone to
roughshod.
and run rough shot through everyone to make it happen. Thoughts? Yeah, I hate to say it, locker room. You better watch out for the 2023 version of Adam Cole, because he might just come out with a bang,
A
baby.
boom.
Yes, he's gonna definitely come with a boom. He's gonna bring it in 2023. Whether whoever the world champion is going to be, whether it's going to be Bryan Danielson, whether it's going to be MJF, better watch out, because Adam Cole is going to be bringing it. He wants that world title. He wants to do anything he can to get to that world championship. And honestly, I think that's the right move. I think that's going to be the right motive for Adam Cole. I don't know when will be his first match officially back, because he hasn't wrestled yet. Um, I know he's fully cleared, so I would think that his match is going to be coming up soon. I don't know who he's going to be against, though.
I have no idea.
I guess we'll find out in the coming weeks if Adam Cole is going to face off against anybody at Revolution, or if he's going to be off the card altogether. So, to Jericho Appreciation Society against Action Andretti and Ricky
We already
Starks.
talked about that.
Thoughts? Well, ultimately, it wouldn't shock me if Action Andretti and Ricky Starks gets the victory against the Jericho Appreciation Society. They seem to have the Jericho Appreciation Society's number right now. I think this is going
Yeah,
to lead into a match of Revolution. I really do. And it might ultimately be in favor of Jericho Appreciation Society. I hate to say it.
maybe. But honestly, Action Andretti have just gotten like a huge push, and I just don't see them uh, having him lose, at least for now. So
No, I don't either. I think he's going to get the victory with Ricky Starks on Dynamite. But ultimately, if it's going to lead into anything heading into um, Revolution, I don't see him getting the pay per view victory. Hate to say it. Um, but, man, talk about a match. A match for for AEW. Of course, we'll talk about the main event soon too, but this match was a great match between Bryan Danielson and
Yeah.
Bandito. I mean, I'm gonna keep on saying this now. I said it before the show or outside of the show, but I'm gonna say it here on the show. I really do think that Tony Khan should pair Bandito and Adam Hangman Page together because you got the Mexican cowboy with the American cowboy, and it just writes itself because if you got the whole if you look at Bandito's look and you look at Adam Hangman Page's look, they basically have the same look except that one's wearing one doesn't have a mask on where the other one does. But if you look at the pants, you see like the whole thing. Bandito is basically a Mexican bandit. Like, come on now.
Yeah.
And then you got Hangman Page, like the Hangman. I mean, you know, he used to come out with the freaking
Yeah.
bandanas. If you look at um, Bandito's mask, it's kind of like a mask, but kind of has like the bandana kind of like mask look to it. So if Adam Hangman Page was to come out with the bandana again, I think it just would work. I think it'd get over with the
Yeah.
fans. I think it would work best. They're two good workers. And I think Adam Hangman Page works the best as a tag team guy anyway. Nothing against his, nothing. I'm not saying anything bad about what he's done. I mean, he's almost a triple crown um, winner for AEW. The only title that he needs now is the TNT Championship to solidify being the first ever um,
Triple Crown
Triple
champion.
Crown AEW champion. So, which has never been done in the almost 4 years of AEW.
Well, I mean, just think about it this way too. You know, he would have to also win the All Atlantic title to become AEW's first Grand Slam champion.
I know that is true too. But ultimately, I think it's going to be coming up soon.
As weird as it is, I feel like Hangman Adam Page is about to be like the flag bearer for AEW. He's gonna be like that ultimate guy that has done it all in the company.
You very well could. I think so. I think that's going to be common. But ultimately, Bryan Danielson gets the victory on Bandito. He's um, trying everything he can to you know, get that match with MGF to get the world title opportunity. I think it's going to happen. Of course, we'll talk about his next competitor who might stop those plans from happening. Um, so MGF says that even a dragon ain't enough for a monster behind a mask. Thoughts?
We're about to see
I wonder what he means by that.
a very different side of MJF, a very
Yeah,
ruthless
I
side
think
of
we're going to
MJF.
definitely see somebody that's going to come in to
I mean,
Revolution at Chase Center and be able to get
yeah.
we're gonna see a banger of a world
Well,
title match.
especially, we're going to see a different side of MJF, especially considering he keeps posting um, these videos on his Twitter of him essentially preparing for his match against Danielson and doing setting all these workout records and all that stuff. So he's definitely going to be uh, yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna bring it against Bryan Danielson. I ultimately, I would love to see Bryan Danielson get you know the world title win over MJF, but something tells me he's gonna fall short. He's not gonna be able to. I don't think he's gonna beat MJF. I think it's too early for MJF to lose that title right away, right now, honestly. Um,
But at the same time, you really have to give Danielson a world title before he ultimately
oh
retires.
no, you will, but I just don't think it's gonna be now, unfortunately. Um, so, like I said, so we'll talk about Brian Danielson's next opponent. Well, it's actually Brian Cage.
Yeah.
Brian Cage will face off against Brian Danielson, but MJF pays Cage and slaps him in the face. Will he help break his arm or will he not? Thoughts? Um, I think he's gonna try, but fail.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, Brian Cage needs his money, but at the same time, it's like he's got to actually like follow through with Brian Cage with um what MJF like paid him to do, and even just in general, like they wouldn't be
Yeah,
hyping
break
up.
his arm.
Well, that's the thing. What I was gonna get into is like they wouldn't be hyping up this 60-minute Iron Man match at Revolution if Brian Danielson wasn't going to beat Brian Cage.
Right.
So
That's gonna happen, but you might have to sacrifice a limb just to be able to get the match against MJF. Who knows? Um, so we get on to our next match as Tony Storm faces off against Willow Nightingale. I just, I want to really get behind Willow, but she's just not able to get singles wins. Only really,
yeah, it's hard to get behind Willow when she doesn't win.
it really is. She doesn't win as a singles competitor. She really only gets victories when she's teaming up with somebody, and it's kind of sad. But ultimately, um, Tony Storm is too much. A former world champion, um, women's champion, is too much for Willow Nightingale to um, handle as she gets the loss here on Dynamite. Darby, and we get onto our main event: Darby Allin against Kushida
Yes.
for the TNT Championship. Man, what a hell of a match between these two men. Kushida with his submission specialty, he's a submission specialist,
Yeah.
and then
That
Darby
hoverboard
Allin
lock.
with the whole coming out. I mean, he was getting pretty much. Darby Allin was getting pretty much manhandled this whole entire match
Yeah.
against Kushida, and you thought maybe Kushida could actually be able to um, beat Darby Allin for the TNT Championship. Could you imagine Kushida being the TNT champion right now?
I
A
mean,
different time of
there were a lot of moments in the match where you really thought that like Kushida could have possibly became the new TNT champion, but ultimately, like I knew at the end of the day that Darby was gonna retain.
Yeah, in the end
But
of
I
the
mean,
day, at the end of the match, Darby Allin was able to beat Kushida with the weirdest way ever. Roll a pin, right? I think that's what it was.
it was his uh pin where he like locks the legs or whatever and like pushes them back.
Yeah, so he pins him
He has a name for it. I
with his
just don't know what it is.
specialty pin to retain the TNT Championship. Man, Darby Allin is on one hell of a 2023 roll,
Yeah,
and it makes me wonder when that's gonna end. Honestly,
I don't want it to end, quite frankly.
I don't either, but all great
I know all great
streaks.
things must come to an end
Yeah,
eventually,
unfortunately.
but
So we got on to Rampage as Jungle Boy Jack Perry faces off against Ethan Page, um, and ultimately beats him on Rampage. And then Stokely Hathaway says, "Well, actually, we'll show you." So Ethan Page was originally doing and holding onto Matt
he held on to Matt Hardy's
Hardy's
hair,
hair, and
and
then
Matt you know, and he
knocked him
explained it on
over.
Twitter. He was like, "Hey, I was only doing what I naturally would do if somebody grabs my hair." And so,
And it pushes over Ethan Page to get pinned by Jungle Boy Jack Perry for the victory. And that's why Stokely Hathaway said, "Well, it's all your fault, Matt Hardy." And then that, you know, Ethan Page is like, you know, Matt,
you need to prove
you're
yourself.
right. It is all your fault. No, I'm still your friend. Well, if you're gonna be my friend, you gotta have to prove it because you owe me a favor. And then later tonight, Matt Hardy and Ethan Page will team up against Jungle Huck. Thoughts on that one? I mean, as much as I
I
would
don't.
love to see Ethan Page and Matt Hardy get
Yeah,
the victory in
I
here,
don't know
it's going to be
what this
Jungle
is.
Huck.
I don't know, like ultimately what the payoff is going to be with
Oh,
Matt Hardy and Ethan Page, but
you're gonna see
ultimately,
Matt Hardy turn on Ethan Page, and I think it's gonna lead into a match of Revolution.
maybe. I mean,
That's kind of like what
ultimately,
they're
like,
going at.
well, see, that's the thing too. Is like,
I
even
hope
though it's not like
I hope
entirely canon,
I hope this leads into him bringing back Broken Matt Hardy.
I was just gonna mention that even though it's not canon, he pretty much already brought back Broken Matt Hardy on Being the Elite. So
Oh, did you really?
yes, yeah, that's why I say like even though it's not canon to like anything that, or at least not anymore. Like I know at one point like Being the Elite was canon to like things that are happening in AEW, but not anymore. So
Yeah. So I think that's what's going to be ultimately the payoff is that who knows? It could happen in this match. You could see Ethan Page, Matt Hardy turning on Ethan Page to allow Jungle Hook to win, and then leads into yes, delete. Yeah, I think you're ultimately going to see Ethan Page and Matt Hardy facing off against each other at Revolution. That's kind of like what they're leading towards. They're leading towards like the breakup of Matt Hardy um and Ethan Page. So Ortiz wants to talk to Eddie face to face. Comes out and then says, "What's up, man? Like, what's going on? You can't trust me? I can understand me, but you're really gonna go out there and you're gonna hit a girl with a chair? Haven't your parents raised you better to hit a woman?" He wants to know, what's up, and wants to know what Homicide would say, and says that he would
you would call him a
call him a
coward
coward, and then
and not a fake tough guy, you know.
and Eddie Kingston hits Ortiz with a chair pretty, quite a bit, and then leaves the ring afterwards. Safe to say that you're going to see Eddie Kingston or Ortiz having a whole match and leading into something with
Yeah.
them. That's kind of like what they're maybe Revolution, maybe not. I don't know. But ultimately, like I said, I think that's what's going to be happening. I think you're going to see Eddie Kingston and Ortiz facing off against each other. It's going to be leading into a match of Revolution. Um, So yeah, Darby Allin to face Buddy Matthews later tonight for the TNT Championship. Thoughts? Um, Sorry, Buddy, I don't think you're gonna get the victory here. I think it's gonna be a great match between both. Um, but ultimately, I just don't think that he's gonna be able to beat Darby Allin here.
Yeah, no.
So Brian Cage faces off against Willie Mack.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
It
Impact
was a
Wrestling at
decent,
its finest.
well, even before Impact, they were both tearing it up in Lucha Underground.
But yeah, ultimately, Brian Cage was able to beat Willie Mack, even though they gave us a pretty good, decent match. Um, so Jay Cargill and Layla Gray face off against the Vanity Twins. As no surprise, they were able to beat them. And then Action Andretti faces off against Daniel Garcia. If
In
Daniel
the main
Garcia
event.
was able to beat Action Andretti, he
No, he
was.
wasn't.
I know he didn't win. I was saying if Daniel
Oh,
Garcia
okay.
was to
Yeah, yeah.
beat Action
Oh,
Andretti,
I
he
get
would
what you're
team
saying.
up with
Okay.
Chris Jericho to face
My
off
bad.
against Ricky
Yeah.
Starks and Action Andretti. But fortunately, Action Andretti has been on a hell of a hot streak ever since beating uh, Chris Jericho as he beats Daniel Garcia. And Daniel Garcia will not be able to team up with Chris Jericho as it will be the Elite Sex Gods.
My sex gods.
Elite Sex
Yes.
Gods. Sammy Guevara and Chris Jericho will face off against Action Andretti and Ricky Starks later tonight on Dynamite. What do you think about that one? I mean, I know we talked about it, but I don't see Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara getting the win here.
No.
What I would love to see Daniel Garcia doing is turning on Jericho Appreciation Society to help
Well,
out Ricky
see,
Starks and Action Andretti. But
That's the thing. They should have done that when he first started having like flashes of like, and especially when the Blackpool Combat, like, they're still kind of a thing, but at the same time, it's like they're kind of like branching off on their own at this point. Um, but like, you should have had Daniel Garcia joining the Blackpool Combat Club during that stretch where like Danielson was
Yeah,
trying to take him
speaking
under his
of
wing.
the Black Bull Comic Club, where is Claudio and Wheeler
Wheeler,
Yuta been on AEW
I
as
think
of
they're
late?
more so focusing on like their obligations to being
ROH,
ROH champ. Yeah,
probably.
which that's
Which
perfectly
honestly,
okay with me because
it does seem like that. As of late, you haven't really been seeing ROH wrestlers obligated to ROH being on AEW television as of late, and it might
and
be
if
a good
anything,
thing.
they're really only defending their titles on like Dark and Dark Elevation, which that's you know. I mean, they gotta defend their
I
championships
mean, if you want to think
like
about it, that's kind of like the groundwork for like ROH right now as it is anyway.
yeah.
So, but ultimately, everyone, I know it's a little bit shorter of an episode, but this is to conclude this episode of No Final Bell. Please follow us on social media at Tinkle Sports. Of course, um, like, comment, subscribe, and share any of our videos on Tinkle Sports and Entertainment. As we also have Sunday Morning Tinkle every Sunday at 9 a.m. We have Out of Turn 4, which will be returning like February 3rd, 4th. I think February 4th because the Clash at the Clash
At the
at the
Coliseum.
Coliseum is February 5th, which is a Sunday. So I think Brian is back on the 4th. He'll discuss everything of all the off-season moves. He'll talk, talk about who he thinks is going to win at the Clash of the Coliseum. Um, of course, make sure to watch this show. Usually every Wednesday, typically at 5. Of course, this episode is going to be coming out a little bit later than that, but typically we're going to try it every Wednesday, maybe a little bit later than 5 or right at 5. Who the heck knows? But of course, as always, we will see you in the next episode. Goodbye, everyone.